would like to welcome my man Gannon. We're going to talk some football. And I want to start off with how the season ended last year with Tom Brady winning it and the accusations of the inflated football and if this hurts his legacy or not. To me, it doesn't. It stains it a bit, but it doesn't put a whole, wash of, stain on his legacy. Because to me, I think he's still a great quarterback. He's a Hall of Famer, and if that Super Bowl did not show you why he's the best quarterback in the league, then I don't know what will. Because he had two 80-yard drives to bring the Patriots back. They were down by 10. A lot of people forget that, Gannon, that they were down by 10 in that game against that defense, which picked them off twice. And he still was able to get down the field with Danny Amendola, Brandon LaFell, and Julian Edelman. His only true weapon was Gronkowski. He basically played with no running game in that game, and that's almost a recipe for disaster against Seattle when you can't run the ball against them. Because now you give them nothing else to defend. They could just completely just pin their ears back and go after you. And I thought he played terrific when he needed to. Now, if he was to lose that Super Bowl, I wouldn't blame it at him. Like I don't blame him for losing the 2008 Super Bowl. That was just a crazy catch, and Eli Manning made a couple plays, and if Asante Samuel makes a couple interceptions, that game is over with. But I wouldn't blame Brady for it because he got the job done. And a lot of people are going to say, well, if Seattle ran the ball, the game was over. Well, like you was telling me before, we don't know what have happened. Maybe a fumble, missed snap, penalty on the play that pushed them 10 yards back. You don't know what could have happened. But I think, far as Tom Brady's punishment, to me, I wouldn't have suspended him, because if you're going to, then like you said, Gannon, the referees need to be accounted for too, because they're supposed to check it. The equipment guy who checks the people's uniform, everything's supposed to be thoroughly inspected. For them to just, throw all the blame on Tom Brady and act like he was, the total guy behind it, I think it's unfair. So,
yeah, and I agree. Like, building off what you just said, if you look at and off the bat, I am no Patriots fan at all. Honestly, I can't stand them. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. I can't stand any team from up north or what have you.
Yeah.
But for Tom Brady to be suspended for 4 games, and as I stated before to you, like, if the league wants to do that, I can see some justification in that. But for all intents and purposes, why the officials are not held more accountable, I personally haven't seen any kind of disciplinary action towards the officials, because their job is to officiate, and that includes checking equipment before every kickoff.
Yep,
the official has the ball. The official holds the ball after every play.
Yep.
So the official's carrying the ball. So where is that official's presence and his professionalism enough to know that, hey, maybe this ball don't feel right, or what have you, if it was that much of a difference? So that's what kills me, and the officials being in this untouchable state, and for them to even slap a message on the screen during the Hall of Fame game saying, well, this year officials are going to make sure to check the balls at halftime, after every quarter, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty much a message hit on the screen saying this year the officials are being held accountable for what they should have been doing all these years past.
All these years, yep, exactly.
No disciplinary action is going to be taken. I think Roger Goodell needs to look into his, first off, very corrupt officiating crew, because I don't care what team you root for, everybody has seen blatant bias towards certain teams and certain players.
Yep.
It just happens that way, and to me, the game should be whatever team's best, not whatever team is in the referee's favor that day, which unfortunately over the past few years of the NFL, I've seen that getting worse and worse, especially, with national headlines and what have you.
Yep.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles, and unfortunately that's the world we live in. But because football being a game of momentum, if a play is stopped over something A, that the other team may be getting away with, or B, something so petty that it probably should have just been let go or not called at all, um, that's hurting one other team's chances, and you are holding them back. Can you always blame the officials in a loss? No. But this whole Deflategate scandal, which is a retarded name, is just more proof that the officials aren't held out as accountable as the players and the staffs, the teams, the coaches, the management, and all that, which I think is a shame because these people standing out there, these officials, they get paid pretty good.
Yep.
To stand out there and do what they do. I mean, I wish I got a paycheck to go out there and just throw flags and show bias. Trust me, Carolina would never lose a game if I.
The Eagles would have been won a Super Bowl by now.
Yeah, right. I would go back to that San Francisco Panthers game, and I would make sure that Anquan Bolden was flagged for what he was doing downfield, which was illegal.
In that game too, not to cut you off, Gannon. And in that game too, it seemed like when Carolina got things going, a penalty would pull them back
every time.
Yeah, every time.
When Troy Aikman says these officials are being these officials don't know what the heck they're doing and they're blind on national television, that wasn't exactly what he said, to be fair. But he did mention the officiating being more lopsided on national television, and it was lackluster, and it was showing some kind of favoritism. Then there's something going on. But my thing is, I don't care if it's Tom Brady, I don't care if it's Peyton Manning, I don't give a damn what team it is out there. I don't care their past, present, or future prestige they may hold. If it's a penalty, call that down the middle.
Yep.
Tell me how it's okay for DeMarco Murray to go on the field and do a blatant rule violation, but Ron Rivera gets a 15-yard penalty at Carolina for going and yelling at a ref because the Carolina Panthers starting quarterback just got licked after the ball's already in the receiver's hand.
And the
20 yards downfield.
And to piggyback off what you're saying, and the Cowboys fans, I know you're going to hate this, but you guys got the beneficiary in the wild card game of that call, and then there was a call that was supposed to be made on the field that wasn't made when Des Bryant was out in the field. So when y'all guys is whining and complaining about the call that was made against y'all in the Green Bay game, you have no room to cry and whine and bitch and complain because you got away with one the week before. That was a completely blatant pass interference in my eyes.
Yeah, and this isn't pick on the Cowboys or anything. It's just an example.
Yeah, just an example. In that game, there was calls where Detroit committed some penalties, no doubt. But there was some penalties that weren't even called on Dallas. Like they called the pass interference when I think Levy, the linebacker, grabbed. It was a complete, obviously a clear hold. But there was a holding call completely not called at all. That should have been, that penalty. Both penalties should have been wiped out. They should have done replayed the down over again. But they didn't call it. It favored Dallas. They got, I believe, 7 points out of that drive, and it changed the swing of the game. And then when Detroit gets something going, they clearly have a pass interference. You take the penalty away, and then Des Bryant comes out on the field, and there's no call. Now, if that was the coach, y'all would have called it. I mean, I understand that the superstar players, like you said, Gannon, get some leeway, but a penalty...
And that's in every sport.
Yeah, that's in every sport, but a penalty like that is a penalty. It doesn't matter if it's, Tom Brady, Jerry Rice, or whoever. You just got to call that call. You can't have the guy on the field coming out there if it's a penalty. And then you just picked up the flag. You just picked up the flag that was the penalty, and now you're saying it's not. It just makes you look bad.
See, and my thing is, it's like I'm a man that believes in the integrity of the game.
Me too.
And like I said, I'm a Panthers fan, but if I'm watching a Panthers game and I see some blatant BS go off, if I see a lineman clearly jump, or somebody getting their face mask held or something like that, part of me is like, hey, good, it went against the other team, or they didn't call it, it was a setback. But at the same time, I have witnesses that watch football with me every Sunday. They will always hear me being like, yeah, that's that's bullshit. That should have been called. That should have been a flag. That's not right. I mean, I don't care. Like if it's a penalty, call it.
Yeah,
I don't this biased crap. And it's not just the past few years. NFL's always been like this. Baseball is one of the most pure sports in terms because the umpires, they have a little leeway at the plate, but at the same time, if it's a foul ball, you can see it's a foul ball.
Yeah, it's a foul ball, clearly.
You can see it's a home run,
clearly.
It's kind of hard to screw that up. And if an umpire's over there just, blatantly calling a strike that's 18 feet above a dude's head, then that umpire is swiftly going to be taken care of by the baseball commission. That's not even going to be a contest, unlike the NFL, because
they get
what kills me about the NFL Somatic is the infamous thing. They say they evaluate the referee's performance, and that will impact whether or not they get to call playoff games, Super Bowls. But to me, it's like, what does it matter after the fact? If it's a playoff game and they just literally, and they help influence a victory for the other side, the damage is done. A team is now at home sitting down because of crappy performances. I want a swifter action. I want a post-game analysis. We all stare at the player stats after the game. We all sit there and rip the coach after the game. We'll sit there and rip a quarterback after the game. I want a stat sheet on the screen, an official NFL stat sheet on the screen, of bad calls by the ref. Because if the media has the right to ask the coach, what did you think about that officiating, and the coach has to keep his mouth shut by fear of getting fined or suspended.
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
But they'll sit there and, they will rag on his coaching to his face. He has to answer it. They'll rag on his players. They'll rag on his lifestyle. They'll rag on his decisions. But he cannot answer a question about a referee being in the wrong. To me, that's backwards. They're not innocent. They're really not.
And if the NFL really wants to protect the integrity of the game, they shouldn't have done what they did a couple of years ago, having replacement refs fucking coach the first 2 weeks if you want to keep their integrity. That was just, there's no way.
Got the biggest asterisks.
That would be a black eye. That would be a black eye.
Green Bay will never forget that day, ever.
It was just. You had one referee saying...
You had a dude out in the parking lot that was a San Francisco's 49er fan that was refereeing, that was about to referee a San Francisco game, and they found out through the pictures, and he was out there tailgating with the bloody fans.
You can't have that happen if you want to keep the integrity of the game. Like, that was just blatant stupid to me. You let it get to that point where it put a black eye on you, and then, let's get the contracts done. You're a $1 billion corporation. There is no reason at all for you to get a contract done with your referees.
Not at all. To me, Roger Goodell, any man in his position worth their sand, because to me, it feels like that the commissioner sees any attack on the ref as a direct attack on him, and that will make him look bad.
No.
Your refs are screwing stuff up every year, and that's for every team.
Yep.
That's not just for my team.
Yep, not just for my team. Yep, it's for every team.
Every single NFL team every year, and I watch 90%. I have Sunday ticket. I'll sit there and watch 90% of the games every year. If I'll sit there and have like 4 or 5 games on my screen at a time, and I'll watch them. There are calls that just kill momentum and shut down a team. Just out of nowhere, this phantom freaking flags, and this whole they put a replay system in for plays, but if you want the game to be called right, tell me why a supposed late hit or a supposed early hit on a player can't be recalled. A simple replay will be like, hey, this will confirm whether or not he was hit late or early. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't
what would be wrong with that?
Yeah, there'll be nothing wrong with it.
A replay would confirm.
Yep.
He released the ball 6 seconds ago, and he got hit. Clearly, that's late. But you got those foggy calls where once the quarterback, like the moment he releases it, he gets hit. They'll throw a flag for late hit. Well, that's not really a late hit, but a replay would expose that and be like, hey, you're wrong. But I think also the refs don't want to be proved wrong.
Yep. And
they're out there just holding the game in their hands.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem is when you clearly got the replay showing that your call on the field is wrong, or you can't have an ego. You have to do what's right for the game. If that's the wrong call, just call it. You will be a better referee for it. I mean, don't get your ego involved. Like, man, I'm not going to be wrong here. I'm not taking that call away. You can't do that. Like, keep the integrity of the game. This is the most popular sport in America. This is the sport that grosses the most money. Let's
America's game.
Yeah, it's America's game.
This is America's game.
Yeah, like I was saying, like the referees can't can't influence the game, Gannon. Like, you're right. Like, I mean,
and this all ties into the whole Tom Brady situation.
Yes.
The referees not being held accountable for their. Some people say it's indirect. I say it's a direct part in the Deflategate scandal, because if the officials were doing their job of managing their field, then they would have, been like, hey, something's not right with this ball, and it would have resolved all this.
And you're absolutely right, because if you want to take Tom Brady and say, yeah, he's at fault, you can't leave the other culprits out of it, because the people that check the equipment, the referees, are supposed to inspect the ball to make sure the ball, there's no type of other influences on the ball. Everybody has to come into account. It just can't be just Tom Brady and that's it, because everybody needs to get deserves a punishment. The referee, the equipment guy, because the equipment guy he will be quick to give a player a fine if he doesn't put on the pair of socks in the right length or put it in a certain way. So he has to check. There's no excuse for that. You have to know if the ball's inflated. There's no way come on, man. You don't check it, and the weather is going to be bad in that game. I'm not buying that, Gannon. It was bad weather in the game, and you don't even check the ball. Seriously? Come on, man. Like that, to me, that's unexcusable, and it goes back to my point with Tom Brady. Like,
and what kills me, Semac, I'm sorry to cut you off. And if you go back to college, whenever Lane Kiffin was at USC coaching, he deflated balls during an Oregon game. College officials caught this.
Yeah.
College officials.
Yeah, I remember
this
that. Yeah, it was a big deal on ESPN. Yeah.
What was it? It was before the game. Then they caught 2 others at halftime. So you're telling me a college official? Colleges seem to be below the NFL in every aspect. Colleges have better officiating apparently than the pro, because these guys caught this because they were inspecting the ball throughout, like they always do.
Yep.
College official found this deflated balls. Like, once again, now, also in my recollection, these balls were extremely deflated, like way under what Tom Brady did. But at the same time, these college officials were doing their job. Where's that integrity in the NFL? Because these officials don't give a shit. They're just over there calling the game. They're not doing all their duties, apparently. And I promise you this. It's just like, how the drug testing is random?
Yeah.
I promise you the refs will not live up. And I know I can't tell the future, but in my mind, I guarantee it, there's going to be a lot of games where they ain't going by that rule.
Yeah.
Unless they want a scandal stirred up, or unless there's a certain team. Now you watch, there's going to be one team that shouldn't have made it X far in the season. The refs are going to be checking their balls out every 2 seconds.
Yep.
Guarantee it. If the Oakland Raiders get to the division title, their balls are going to be checked like after every play.
And this goes back to my thing with the legacy thing with Tom Brady. Gannon, I've always been saying it for years. I thought Brady in the playoffs, I'll always take Tom Brady over Peyton Manning in the playoffs any day. And it's not
I'll take Tom Brady over any quarterback.
Yeah, and it's not a knock on Peyton Manning, but I've been saying it for years. Peyton Manning underperforms in the playoffs. He's the greatest regular season quarterback. But if I want a guy that's going to, get the job done with the least amount of talent, I'm going with Tom Brady. I think you said it before again, and Tom Brady is like the Michael Jordan in the sense of where he can just take, these guys and just work with them and get the job done. Because to me, that performance in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, people can say, oh, if the Seahawks would have ran the ball, it would have been over. Watch the game again. The man threw a pick earlier in the red zone. He threw a pick late in the game. They were down by 10. You down by 10 against that defense, that's a mountain to climb to come back.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have a running game. Let's not forget, they did not run the ball well. They had, average receivers at best. Their whole passing game was short and underneath stuff. You would have think by that time, Seattle would have picked up on that. But Tom Brady's a smart quarterback. It was quick passes, rubs. They were doing.
Not only were they quick, they were very precise. There was numerous times, if you go back and watch that Super Bowl, he is fitting these passes between defenders, hitting the receivers, right in the numbers. Like, they are just so surgically precise. And nobody else delivers that like Tom Brady. And once again, neither of us are Patriots fans. I can't stand it. Yeah, but I have to give the man credit.
I got
to.
I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not. They beat my Eagles in the Super Bowl, and I hate that. But I have to acknowledge when I see
my Panthers and their own Super Bowl.
They beat our teams our favorite teams in the Super Bowl. But we have to acknowledge when we see greatness. Okay, like the man is a great quarterback. People, you can hate him all you want to, but you got to respect how he plays on the field, because the way he played in that Super Bowl with those limited amount of weapons he had. I mean, the only weapon he had was Gronkowski. He got the ball out quick. It was a good game plan, and Tom Brady executed it. And you got to give him credit.
If you're a fan of the game, you will appreciate what this man did. Put your fanboy blindness aside, just for a minute. I don't care what team somebody may go for. You have to recognize when a player is playing good, and Tom Brady plays really, really, really good. And this is after especially the year prior, he had a terrible start.
Yeah,
awful.
And
not many quarterbacks can come back from that.
What's funny too is there's a reason why he has the most playoff wins. He has 20, playoff wins. There's a reason for that. And if you look at the Super Bowl, he doesn't choke. If you look at
doesn't choke much. He doesn't. He chokes less than everybody else. Everybody chokes, but he chokes less.
And if you look at the Super Bowl performances, and I always look at the Giants loss, Gannon, as a gauge. Like, the man was getting mauled in that 2008 Super Bowl by that defensive line. I'm talking about, Gannon. He was getting crushed play after play.
He had his number.
I mean, and if anybody wants to argue that the reason why the Giants won it's not just because that catch alone. It was because of that defensive line. If that defensive line doesn't play like that, that catch won't even happen. But not to deviate from the point, he was getting mauled, crushed, Gannon, put it on his back. But when you needed that drive down the field, what happened, Gannon? He got you the freaking touchdown. He put them up 14-10. I remember that drive like it was yesterday. It was like boop, boop, boop. I mean, he was getting the ball out quick. He was picking them apart. He was going down the field. The defensive line couldn't get to him then. It's like, this is the Tom Brady I've been watching the whole game, who was getting his, his jersey was always on the back. He drove down the field and got the touchdown. And that, to me, even in a loss, again, it just shows how great he is, because in that moment, when you needed him to play great, he did. He played, he just took them down the field and got them the touchdown. Now, we know the rest of the history of that game, the greatest catch in Super Bowl history. But when people like to say, oh, it was the catch that won in the game, I was like, the Patriots still had a chance to stop them. Actually, after that drive, after that catch, he threw a pass that could have been picked off by Asante Samuel. So, things can change in a game. But everybody just looks at that catch like that was a touchdown. It wasn't a touchdown. It just happened to be one of the greatest catches in the game. The New England's defense was ranked 4th in the league. They still had a chance to stop him. The great defenses play great when the situation calls for it. So, but to me, Tom Brady is still the best quarterback, and he's probably going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time in my book.
Yeah, I agree with that. But real quick, let's segue. What do you think your division is going to do this year? What's your predictions for your division?
Well, to me, I'm an Eagles fan, and you know this, Gannon, you know me. I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm going to keep it real. I really don't like what Chip Kelly's doing. You traded Brandon Boykins away. You got rid of Evan Mathis, who I thought was playing at a pretty good level. Now I understand we got Jason Kelce, we got Lane Johnson and Jason Peters, but where is the worst place you don't want pressure at? Is up the middle. Who are the two guards? What are they going to do? And I like what they did defensively, but I still have questions because they don't have that premier pass rusher. They don't have that guy where, okay, you can focus his attention and let the other guys run around. But I think their defense is pretty good, but they still don't have that premier pass rusher. So they're going to have to do a lot of things from blitzing, which is going to make them vulnerable. But at least they have corners that can cover, unlike last year. But I think the division is going to be between the Giants and the Cowboys. I think those are the two best teams in the division. But I don't think they're like one of the top tier teams in the scope of the NFL, because I still think they have a lot of holes, especially Dallas's defense, to me, has a lot of holes in the secondary. And their linebacker situation, I think with Sean Lee coming back, it should be better, but I think other than Sean Lee, I don't think they really have much. The Carter, he's a pretty good player, but I think other than that, they don't have that pass rusher either. So I think it's really going to be between the Giants and the Cowboys for the division, as I see it in the NFC East. What do you think about for your Carolina Panthers?
Panthers. First off, I want to say the NFC South will still be weak. Falcons are rebuilding. God knows we're rebuilding. The Saints are rebuilding.
Yeah, they're in rebuilding mode.
Yeah. Tampa.
I mean, they got a nice little running back in Doug Martin.
I have hope for them. They do, and they got they do got some talent there. But Vincent Jackson and stuff. But I don't know, for Carolina. First off, the best thing we did was fire Byron Bell's bitch ass. That dude couldn't block for shit. If you look at 90% of Cam's hits, you're gonna hit a $40+ million quarterback that just had 3 surgeries, came from his left side. Yeah. Byron Bell sucked. Yeah. And whenever he was let go, what he said it all. And what he said after he was let go, his comment summed up how he played football. It is what it is, whatever. That's how he played. He didn't give a shit.
He didn't give a shit about protecting his quarterback.
What pissed me off the most watching him was whenever somebody would just literally blow right by him, or he wouldn't even try.
Yeah,
whenever Cam got hit, or D'Angelo got hit in the backfield, or Jonathan Stewart would get hit on the handoff, or a swing pass went bad, he wouldn't even go over there to pick him up. He would just look. He would just throw his hands up in the air, walk back towards the line. That to me is not an NFL player. That to me is a scrub, and he's where he belongs, and that's unemployed. All right, get off that. I think we messed up big time by letting Greg Hardy go. I don't give a damn about his domestic violence stuff because it wasn't that severe. It's not like he clocked a woman and knocked her out Ray Rice style. They had a freaking dispute, for Christ's sake. And for Jerry Richardson to let him go, I mean, Dallas.
Isn't he suspended? And isn't it he's suspended for the first
and he's still suspended.
Yeah, that's why I said Dallas right now.
Which is crazy because they took his ass out for an entire, Jerry Richardson took his ass out for an entire year. You'd think that'd have been enough, but no. But congratulations, Dallas Cowboys fans. You got a hell of a player in Greg Hardy. That man is a monster. He's an animal. Best defensive end, in my opinion, in college football. And that's not just because he's a fan. Look at his body of work. The dude's a monster.
Yeah, and when I say they don't have a pass rusher, because I knew he was suspended for the first 8 games, that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't have that pass rusher until he comes back.
But we got rid of D'Angelo Williams. Now, that's a double-edged sword. D'Angelo put in a great workload. He did get hurt last season and had to miss a few, but that's because Jonathan Stewart's bitch ass is always hurt, and he had to carry all the weight. Fozzie Whitaker weighs 105 pounds wet. Of course, he got hurt. I think we should have got rid of Jonathan Stewart instead of D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
Jonathan Stewart is a phenomenal running back, don't get me wrong. The dude can hit holes, he's powerful, and he's got speed. But, in my opinion, a great player sustains himself and doesn't stay hurt. And the dude's played like a combined 5 games over the past 3 seasons. So, in my opinion, bad move. Our secondary still needs work. I know Josh Norman and Cam got in a fight in spring training because he picked off one of Cam's passes and he allegedly stiff-armed Cam after the play. They got in a fight. That's the attitude I want to see from Josh Norman. I want him to be aggressive. Don't be fucking hitting that quarterback, though, you an idiot. But A, he's bigger than you. B, he's worth more than you. C, he's franchise, all right? I wouldn't touch the man, all right? That's a good way to see your ass packing.
Yep.
But, aside from Josh Norman, we don't really have much in the defensive backfield at all. Our secondary was abysmal all last year. It's terrible. To me, it's going to continue to be terrible.
But you got Thomas Deku, man.
Thomas Deku is trash. I swear to God, that man should get some Delta Sky Miles for all them balls that went over his head last season. Every ball that man will be able to go around the world 6 or 7 times. I'm not even kidding. Thomas Deku is trash. F all you Atlanta fans for giving us him. Y'all should have kept him. All right. Well, never mind. Y'all's defense was bad enough. Never mind. And that's not a stab at Atlanta. Their defense was bad. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie about that.
Up front, we're still solid. Starla Tulale, he's a great pass rusher. He's a big body. He's got that Samoan hair going.
That's why I wanted in the draft. That's why I wanted to be him and Fletcher Cox. Oh my!
A monster. Then of course, linebacking core. What needs to be said?
You got the best linebacker core.